We know that we have to be consistent, and we know that the solution to when we don't want to do things is to push through, but nobody wants to do that. And I'm here to say that I don't even think you have to do that. I think the solution is not pushing through. We're trying to make this stuff sustainable. We're not trying to get ourselves into routines that we're not going to be able to sustain in the future. That the major issue that we are facing when it comes to consistency, y'all, is the fact that we are not robots, we are not machines, but for some reason we expect ourselves to behave like robots and we expect ourselves to behave like machines. Hello, welcome to the Live Your Essence podcast. I'm Sabrina Kumwa, your host, and I'm a speaker, singer, and software engineer. On this podcast, we talk about walking in our purpose, enjoying the journey of growth, and approaching life with a sense of curiosity and wonder. Live Your Essence is your space to partner with your God-given uniqueness to build a life you truly love. Now, let's dive into this episode. If you're watching this video or you're listening to this podcast, you already know that consistency is key. I'm not here to repeat to you what you already know, which is that consistency is key and that you need to be consistent, okay? We already know that you got to be consistent. Whatever you do, you got to put in the consistency. You got to be consistent. You got to do the stuff over and over again until, okay, so we already get the picture. We already know. But you're not here for that. You're here because you already know that you got to be consistent, but you are struggling with that. Like, something's not giving in your consistency, and that's why you're here. That's why you're listening to me right now. And honestly, I'm glad you're here because literally, like, to make this very video, to make this very podcast that you're listening to, I was struggling with consistency. And it was so ironic that I was struggling with consistency when I was about to talk about consistency. Well, I had to live out the lesson, right? And so I'm literally very fresh with, wisdom to share today. And I want to start off by saying that the major issue that we are facing when it comes to consistency, y'all, is the fact that we are not robots, we are not machines, but for some reason we expect ourselves to behave like robots and we expect ourselves to behave like machines. I think that's the number one issue that we have with consistency. And it's not your fault, and it's not the fault of the people saying be consistent, because be consistent, like advising people to be consistent at whatever it is that they're aspiring to do is great advice. Consistency is key. Okay, I said I wasn't going to say it, but I guess I said it. But you get my point, okay? Consistency is key. Like, it's facts, it's the truth. If you're not consistent at what you do, it's just not going to get anywhere. But the problem is that when we hear the advice, be consistent, and we receive it, the way we register it in our brains is very different from the reality that we're about to experience when it comes to it. Because let's say somebody's telling you to be consistent in the gym. So let's say I'm your personal trainer. I'm like some gym person on the internet. And I'm like, you need to be really consistent, okay? Here's what's going to happen. You're first going to register that as good advice because you know intuitively that is the truth, okay? So your spirit is going to accept that as good advice and you're going to be like, yeah, this is good advice. Let me see how that looks like. And subconsciously, what's probably going to happen is that you will envision or imagine what that looks like in your life. So if someone tells you to be consistent in the gym, you're going to start visualizing yourself at the gym doing gym type of stuff. Like, you're going to see yourself working out. You're going to see yourself being consistent at the gym. So you're going to start like automatically creating a mental image of what consistency looks like. The problem is, in reality, it's not going to look like the image you made, because the image you made is probably you working out so happy, like a stock photo, like a stock video, like as if you're like, this happy go lucky person every day working out, looking all cute and sexy. That's probably what you're seeing in your brain. But the reality is you're going to be coming back from work at 6 p.m. and you're going to be on the couch or laying on the bed, scrolling TikTok and Instagram, and then you're going to remember that you need to go to the gym. That's your reality. That's what your real life is probably going to look like. Or if somebody tells you, okay, it's time for you to start eating healthy, you got to be consistent and make the meal plans, you're going to imagine yourself cooking all these meal plans all these, meal prepping that looks exactly the same. That's what you're going to imagine yourself doing. But in reality, what's going to happen probably, I'm not trying to jinx you, but it's probably going to be this way. You're going to make all the meals. They're all going to look the same. You're going to eat them for 2 days straight. And then guess what? You're going to be tired of that. You're not going to want to eat that stuff no more. Okay? That's probably what's going to happen. And then you're going to be on DoorDash ordering Chipotle for the 4th time in the week. And then you're going to cry when you see your banks. Okay, this is getting a little too personal. It's getting a little too personal, y'all. But literally, that's the issue that we have with consistency. Okay, the issue that we have with consistency is that the way we envision it in our minds is very robotic, but the way we experience in reality is a very human. And so that's the number one issue. The second issue that we have with consistency is that if we think it's going to feel different, then it's going to feel, which is very similar to the whole looking different thing. So our issue with consistency is that we hear the advice, and probably for a short period of time, we do muster up enough energy, courage, motivation to be consistent for a short amount of time. So typically that looks like a week or 2 weeks, and then we get all this energy to be consistent, and we feel a certain way. And all of a sudden, after maybe the 3rd week or the 4th week, when that momentum wanes, I was going to say dwanes. when our momentum wanes, we don't understand what just went wrong. And we're like, wait, I used to be so excited to do this. What's happening? I don't really want to do this anymore. And we don't understand that that is actually part of the consistency journey. Because consistency is not about always being excited to do things, but it's about doing the best you can and at any given time or in any given day. Meaning, some days you're going to be more excited to work out. Some days you're going to be more excited to film your content. Some days you're going to be more excited to, hang out with your friends or go to a networking event. Some days you're just going to be naturally more excited to do those things, and other days you won't. Now, you might have also heard, you just got to push through. You got to have discipline. Pick discipline over your feelings because you're not always going to feel motivated and all that stuff. I do think that's right to a certain extent. But I think what's stopping us from being more consistent is that we actually don't want to push through because we're not machines. Like, why are you always trying to push through? You're not a machine. You're not a machine. You're not just supposed to push through all the time and be like disciplined all the time. Like, you're not a robot, okay? This is not a factory. You're a human being. You have feelings. And so why are you always trying to push through? Like, I have a problem with that. Anyway, I think that's an issue that's affecting our consistency because we know that we have to be consistent. And we know that the solution to when we don't want to do things is to push through. But nobody wants to do that. And I'm here to say that I don't even think you have to do that. I think the solution is not pushing through, but we're going to get to that. Let's just talk about the third issue that we have with consistency. And the third thing that we have with consistency is that we feel like the outcome of our consistent actions or our repeated actions, we think that the outcome is predictable. We think that the outcome is replicable. So if I do 3 videos, I'm going to get this amount of views or likes. If I go to bed at this amount of time for 3 days, I will have to feel good every single day. If I eat this way, I must feel good this way. But the reality of life is that we're human. We're not going to be consistent machines. And so there's going to come a time where you do the stuff that you know to do, but the outcome is not going to give no more. It's not going to look the same. And then you're going to scratch your head and be like, wait, last time I did this for 10 times in a row, I got this result. Why can't I get this result anymore? And that's because consistency is not a formula. So I just explained the 3 main issues that we have with consistency. The first one was that we think it's going to look the same. We think it's a straight line and it's just going to look the same. And I'm imagining myself working out in my head. So it means that in reality, that's how it's going to go. Wrong. The second thing is that we feel like it's going to feel the same. So I was excited last time. I'm going to be excited today. Wrong. The third thing is the output. I got this result last time, so I must get this result again if I'm consistent today. Wrong, wrong, wrong. And for each of these, I'm going to explain where the deception lies. So the first one with the seeing, right? So we think it's going to look a certain way. The deception there lies in that your mind imagines the easiest path. So your mind imagines the path of least resistance. What you need to do is create your consistency routine based on the reality of your life and do it without shame. So don't imagine the easiest task. Imagine what consistency will look like on the hardest of days. And what that means is that you're probably not going to be doing the thing that you want to do initially. So for me, for example, I'm like, I want to start being more active. I want to start working out. And it's so easy to fall into the trap of, okay, immediately setting the goal of I'm going to go to the gym 2 or 3 times a week if I want these results. The reality is I know that I'm not a very active person. I'm new to this stuff. I love being at home. I work from home. And so let's just be real here. I should probably just start off by stretching, because that will at least get me up the couch and up the bed before I can even think about going to the gym. So set your goals and set your consistency routine based on the hardest path, not on the easiest path when you're more motivated. Okay? And so that is the first step. You need to make your stuff so like basic and bare bones, and you have to do it without shame. Why am I saying you have to do it without shame? Because it's so easy to also start shaming yourself and being like, well, I should be able to go to the gym. There's nothing wrong with me. I should be able to go to the gym. Or I should be able to do that. If she can do it, I can do it. If he can, like, you can get into shame, but don't shame yourself. Because hear me. We're trying to make this stuff sustainable. We're not trying to get ourselves into routines that we're not going to be able to sustain in the future. So if you want to be consistent at something, start off by deciding and accepting that consistency is going to look different on every day. And what is the bare minimum gonna look like for you? If you can't go to the gym, what is a bare minimum gonna look like for you? So that on the days that you can only do the bare minimum, at least you can do that. And you can go off with the feeling that you achieved something and you accomplished something. Because you kind of need that feeling to keep moving forward. If you don't get a feeling of accomplishment, you're not gonna move forward. And the feeling of accomplishment, guess what? It doesn't matter what you do. It can be a very simple task, as small as I got up today. But because you set it as a goal ahead of time, when you do get up, you're going to feel good about it. But if you don't set it as a goal and that's all you can do, you're going to feel like a failure. You're going to feel like, dang, I couldn't go to the gym today. All I could do was get up. Shoot, that sucks. But if you tell yourself ahead of time, on the days that I can't go to the gym, I'm going to get up. At least I'm going to do that. The days that you do just get up, you're going to feel like you accomplished something. Because the trick is that you need a plan for your on days and your off days. You got to plan for all of that. I think that's honestly the trick that we overlook when it comes to consistency. We only plan to kick ass. Like, we only plan to like kill it and to like, you know, like have... We only plan for what consistency looks like when we're killing it. We don't plan for what it looks like when we're not killing it. And that's the biggest issue. So that was for the first one. For the second one, about the way it's going to feel, honestly, it's very similar to what I just said earlier. But for the feeling thing, meaning we think that consistency is going to feel the same all the time. So if I did this action 2 weeks ago and I felt great, then I must feel good this time. I think for this one, honestly, you just have to accept that you're human and stuff is not going to feel the same. And it doesn't mean that you're behind. It doesn't mean that you're failing yourself. It doesn't mean that you're not going to make it. It doesn't mean that you're not going to do the same thing and that you're going to fall off your routine. It just means that you're human and that you need to accept how you feel. Now, does that mean that you need to push through when things get hard and you don't want to go to the gym, or you don't want to pray, or you don't want to do whatever routine it is that you set yourself out to do? No, I don't think it means you need to push through. What I think it means is that you need to sit down and start getting curious about why you're not trying to feel good. I mean, you need to sit down and start getting curious about what it is that is preventing you from feeling good and embracing this routine today. Let me give you an example. On some days, I go to the gym and I'm very happy to be there. On other days, I want to go to the gym, but I don't want to get up. Why? And it can be as simple as my posture. Literally. But I only realize this when I'm curious instead of feeling like, oh, you're such a failure. You should have been doing this. I should have been doing that. Like when you start talking to yourself like you're a failure, you're not going to get the information that you actually need. But when you start being curious about yourself and you start asking yourself questions, you get the information that you need. And that's actually going to take you to where you're trying to go a lot faster than if you keep shaming yourself. And so on some days, I'm like, why don't I want to go to the gym today? And I notice the posture I am in, just laying on the couch or laying on the bed. So I'm like, oh, well, I'm just laying down. So instead of like pushing through, I'm like, let me just sit up. Let me just like sit up. And then when I'm seated and I'm like sitting up and I'm upright, I'm like, okay, now let me just get up. Let me do a few stretches. Okay, let me change into my workout gear. Even if I don't go to the gym, it's fine. And then by the time I do that, I'm literally tying up my shoelaces and I'm outside and I'm going to the gym. Why? Because the blocker to my flow was literally my posture. It wasn't that I didn't want to go to the gym at all, but it's just that I felt like, just comfortable. So the first step was to just get myself seated. Just sit up. Okay. Now what do I do? What's the next step? Okay, let me just get up. Literally, as simple as that. That's like for a more simple example. But what I'm trying to tell you guys is that you don't want to always push yourself through things. You want to start asking questions, right? Like, why don't I want to go to this networking event today? Maybe it's because you don't feel pretty enough. That's a very valid reason. Because maybe on the time where your hair was done and your nails were done, you wanted to go network with the world. But today you don't really want to do that anymore. And it's not because you suck. It's just because if you're curious with yourself, you might just be like, well, honestly, I don't feel really cute today, so I don't want to meet anyone. That is an honest answer. And that's the information that you need. Because once you know the truth, you can go work on it. Let me give you an example to my that applies to my life as well. Like when it came to making this video, I didn't want to make it. I didn't want to sit down and record this video and record this podcast. I just didn't want to do it because I felt like, okay, maybe no one's going to listen to what I have to say anyway, And I had to realize that that was what was blocking me from making the video. Instead of saying, oh, I'm never consistent, I can never do my videos. Why is it so hard for me to be consistent when I'm trying to teach people about consistency? Why is it so hard? Like, instead of getting myself in that energy of like, why me, why me, why me, shame, 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 I got curious with myself and I was like, okay, Sabrina, why don't you want to make this video today? Let's talk about it. And then I realized that it's because on some level, I felt like nobody would care. That's why I didn't want to make the video, honestly speaking. And so I had to sit down and pray and remember my purpose, and then remember that God gave me a voice to share and like advice and wisdom to share with his people. Like when I sat down and I just remembered that, I was like, wait, even if one person listens to this video, you did it. Like, it's good. You're good. And then all of a sudden, I got the motivation and the momentum that I needed to make the video again. So would I have gotten this revelation and this insight if I had just sat there shaming myself because I can't get anything done and I'm never motivated to make my videos and I'm never going to be like this person that I admire? I probably wouldn't have gotten this far. But in order to push through that energy of, in order to push through the struggle of not always feeling like you want to be consistent, you have to get curious with yourself. What is preventing you from feeling that way? Maybe you're somebody who wants to start working out more, you want to be more disciplined, but the curiosity is what's going to lead you to your breakthrough. Because what if through curiosity, you discover that you have like legitimate health issues? Like I realized that I couldn't do a lot of things because my blood sugar would spike like crazy, and I had to literally go to the doctor and learn to manage my blood sugar so that I can actually eat the way I'm supposed to and have more energy. Maybe I'm not saying you have blood sugar issues, but I'm literally saying that if you're not curious, you actually won't solve the real problem. You're just going to remain in a state of self-doubt and shame and blaming yourself when you could be getting real information that's going to get your life ahead. So be curious about yourself. Stop the shame. The third thing, which is that we expect consistency to give us the same predictable results all the time. What I have to say about that is honestly that you need to accept that at some point in your consistency journey, you're going to hit a plateau. You're going to hit the point of diminishing returns, meaning after doing a certain action for so much time, for so long, there's going to be a point where the same action doesn't yield the same results anymore. And once you get there, instead of being discouraged, my advice to you is realize that you're finally at the point where you're getting thrown off the edge. What do I mean by that? The goal of consistency is not to remain your master all the time. The advice, be consistent, be consistent, be consistent, is not meant to take over the rest of your life. It's literally meant to get you to the edge and to push you through the point where you learn how to fly on your own. That's what consistency is about. Consistency is about keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it, and then fly. And what does flying look like? Flying looks like when you care more about your action, the thing that you're trying to be consistent at, when you start caring more about that than the outcome. When you start falling in love with making videos because you just love them and you forget about the followers or who's going to like and who's not going to like, consistency has achieved its goal in your life. When you care more about how you feel at the gym, how it helps you clear your mind, how it makes you feel powerful and lovely, when you care more about how you're feeling when you're working out than if you're going to lose all the weight or if you're going to gain all the pounds or all the muscle, when you start caring more about the present moment of doing the thing, consistency has achieved its goal in your life. And so if there's ever a point in your consistency journey where you feel like it's not giving what it used to give, then that might just mean that you're on track to get to the point where you're literally forced to fall in love with the action that you're doing. And once you fall in love with the action that you're doing, you're not going to need the advice, be consistent anymore, because you will be in love with the thing that you're doing. And once you're in love with the thing that you're doing, the results are going to keep coming and coming and coming. But there has to be that little gap. There has to be that little gap where you're not seeing the result anymore, so that you can fall in love with the action. And once you fall in love with the action, you're going to have results for days. And that's the trick about consistency. So keep doing what you're doing until you fall in love with it. Keep doing what you're doing, even when it's not paying off, even when it seems like, you're not getting anything out of it. Keep doing the dang thing. Because once you soar, once you fly, you're not going to need that advice to sustain you anymore. You will be able to be sustained by your love of the craft, your love of working out, your love of prayer, your love of doing whatever it is that you want to do for your life, for your journey. The love of it is going to keep you going, and you're not going to need anybody to tell you to be consistent anymore. So that's the secret, y'all. Those were the 3 keys that I learned, honestly, very recently, about maintaining consistency in my life. I give all the glory to God and the Holy Spirit for this wisdom that I just shared with you guys. And I hope that it inspires you to keep going after your goals and keep going after your life and the things that you want to do, because I believe that, consistency is a beautiful journey and you can do it. Honestly, you can do it. You can do it. So if you got to watch this video a few times, please do that. If you got to share it with your loved ones because you loved it so much, please do that. And if you want to comment, because I know you have some stuff to say, okay? I want to know what you guys are going to be consistent about. I want to know what you guys are working on this year. Please let me know in the comments what it's all about and how you're going to apply this advice. And if you learned anything new, please let me know in the comments. Give me a like and a subscribe. If you're watching this for the first time, please subscribe. Guys, my outro is not really consistenting right now, but you know what to do. So please give some love in YouTube or whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. And thank you guys so much for being here. Have an amazing night, amazing day, amazing wherever you are. God bless you, and don't forget to live your essence.